Nestled on the southeastern coast of the United States, South Carolina is a state steeped in rich history. From its earliest days as a British colony, South Carolina has played a pivotal role in shaping the American narrative. Its story is one of triumphs and tragedies, of resilience and revolution. The Palmetto State, as it is affectionately known, bears witness to the complexities of the American experience. South Carolina's journey is etched into its very landscape and natural beauty. From the bustling port of Charleston to the rolling hills of the upstate, each region whispers tales of the past. The state's rich cultural tapestry is woven with threads of Native American heritage, European colonialism, African traditions, and the enduring spirit of the American South. This is a journey through time, exploring the key events and movements that have shaped South Carolina into the state it is today. It is a story of struggle and perseverance, of cultural fusion and enduring traditions. It is a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity and emerge stronger on the other side. The year was 1663, when King Charles II of England granted a vast territory in North America to 8 loyal supporters, forever altering the course of South Carolina. This land grant, known as the Carolina Charter, was a strategic move to expand British influence in the New World and to reward those who had remained steadfastly loyal to the crown during the tumultuous years of the English Civil War and the Restoration. These men, known as the Lords Proprietors, envisioned a prosperous colony that would bolster England's wealth and power. They were granted almost king-like authority over the land, with the power to create laws, levy taxes, and grant land to settlers. Their vision was to create a feudal society that mirrored the hierarchical structures of England, but with the promise of new opportunities and prosperity. The first permanent English settlement, Charlestown, later Charleston, was established in 1670. Situated on a peninsula between the Ashley and Cooper rivers, Charlestown quickly became a bustling port and the economic heart of the colony. Its strategic location made it a key point for trade and defense. The colony attracted settlers from across Europe and the Caribbean, seeking new opportunities and a chance to start afresh. These settlers brought with them diverse cultures, skills, and traditions, which began to shape the unique character of the colony. Among them were English, Scots, Irish, French Huguenots, and Sephardic Jews, each contributing to the rich tapestry of early South Carolina society. The fertile lands of South Carolina proved ideal for agriculture, and the colony soon became a major producer of rice and indigo. These cash crops were labor-intensive and required a large workforce, leading to the importation of enslaved Africans who brought with them invaluable knowledge of rice cultivation from their homelands. Life in early Carolina was often challenging. Settlers had to clear dense forests, build homes, and establish farms from scratch. The climate was hot and humid, and the threat of hurricanes loomed large. Despite these hardships, the settlers' resilience and determination laid the foundations for a thriving colony. Settlers faced threats from Native American tribes, disease, and the harsh realities of frontier life. Relations with Native American tribes were complex and often fraught with tension, leading to conflicts such as the Yamasee War, which nearly destroyed the colony in the early 18th century. Additionally, diseases like malaria and yellow fever took a heavy toll on the population. Yet they persevered, building a new society on the edge of a vast continent. The settlers' ability to adapt and their communal spirit were crucial in overcoming the many obstacles they faced. They established schools, churches, and local governments, creating a sense of order and community in the midst of the wilderness. The economy flourished, fueled by the labor of enslaved Africans who were forcibly brought to the colony. The brutal system of slavery became deeply entrenched in South Carolina's society and economy, with enslaved people making up a significant portion of the population by the early 18th century. Their labor was essential to the colony's prosperity, but it came at a tremendous human cost. The early decades of South Carolina were marked by both progress and exploitation. The wealth generated by the colony's agricultural success was built on the backs of enslaved Africans, whose suffering and resistance are an integral part of the colony's history. This duality of progress and exploitation would continue to shape South Carolina for centuries to come. The seeds of a complex and often troubled history were sown in these formative years, setting the stage for the turbulent centuries that lay ahead. From its earliest days, South Carolina was a land of contrasts, of opportunity and oppression, of resilience and conflict. These early experiences would leave an indelible mark on the state's identity, influencing its path through the American Revolution, the Civil War, and beyond. As the 18th century progressed, tensions between Great Britain and its American colonies reached a boiling point. The colonies, once seen as loyal extensions of the British Empire, began to chafe under the increasingly oppressive measures imposed by the Crown. The seeds of discontent were sown through a series of acts and taxes that the colonists found intolerable. The Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the infamous Tea Act were just a few of the legislative measures that inflamed colonial passions and led to widespread protests and acts of defiance. The American colonies, including South Carolina, were on the brink of a revolutionary transformation. South Carolina, once a loyal outpost of the British Empire, became a hotbed of revolutionary fervor. The colony's strategic location and its economic importance made it a focal point in the struggle for independence. The port city of Charleston, in particular, was a bustling hub of activity where revolutionary ideas were exchanged and plans for resistance were hatched. The people of South Carolina, from the coastal lowcountry to the inland upstate, were united in their desire for freedom and self-determination. The colonists chafed under British rule, demanding greater autonomy and an end to unfair taxation without representation. They organized assemblies and conventions where passionate debates took place about the future of the colony and its relationship with Great Britain. These gatherings were not just political events, they were the crucibles in which the ideals of liberty and democracy were forged. The voices of South Carolina's leaders, such as Christopher Gadsden and Henry Laurens, echoed the sentiments of their fellow colonists and called for decisive action against British tyranny. When the American Revolution erupted in 1775, South Carolina patriots answered the call to arms. The colony's militias, composed of farmers, tradesmen, and planters, took up arms to defend their homes and their principles. These citizen soldiers, often poorly equipped and trained, displayed remarkable courage and resilience in the face of a formidable enemy. They were driven by a deep-seated belief in the righteousness of their cause and a determination to secure a future free from British domination. The state became a battleground in the fight for independence, witnessing fierce clashes between colonial militias and British forces. Key battles, such as the Siege of Charleston and the Battle of Camden, tested the resolve and resourcefulness of South Carolina's patriots. Despite suffering setbacks and facing overwhelming odds, the spirit of resistance remained unbroken. The swamps, forests, and fields of South Carolina became the stage for a relentless struggle that would ultimately shape the destiny of a nation. From the swamps of the Low Country to the hills of the Upstate, South Carolinians fought bravely for their newfound nation. The diverse landscapes of the colony provided both challenges and opportunities for the revolutionary forces. The dense swamps offered refuge and strategic advantages for guerrilla warfare, while the rolling hills and open fields became the sites of pitched battles. The people of South Carolina, regardless of their background or station in life, were united in their commitment to the cause of independence. The Battle of Cowpens, a decisive American victory in 1781, showcased the courage and determination of South Carolina's soldiers. This engagement, fought on the rolling pastures of the Upstate, was a turning point in the Southern campaign. The American forces, employing innovative tactics and leveraging their knowledge of the terrain, were able to outmaneuver and decisively defeat the British. The victory at Cowpens not only boosted the morale of the revolutionary forces, but also demonstrated the effectiveness of their strategies and the valor of their troops. Led by General Daniel Morgan, the American forces routed the British, dealing a significant blow to their campaign in the South. Morgan's leadership and tactical brilliance were instrumental in securing the victory. His ability to inspire and coordinate his troops, combined with his innovative use of militia and regular forces, created a formidable fighting force. The success at Cowpens was a testament to the skill and determination of the American commanders and their troops, and it marked a significant shift in the momentum of the war. This victory helped turn the tide of the war and paved the way for American independence. The triumph at Cowpens, along with other key victories in the Southern campaign, weakened British control and bolstered the resolve of the American forces. The cumulative effect of these successes was a growing sense of inevitability about the ultimate outcome of the war. The dream of an independent nation free from British rule was becoming a reality, thanks in no small part to the contributions and sacrifices of the people of South Carolina. South Carolina emerged from the Revolution battered but triumphant. The war had taken a heavy toll on the colony, leaving scars on its land and its people. Yet, in the aftermath of the conflict, there was a sense of renewal and hope. The process of rebuilding began as communities came together to restore what had been lost and to create a new future. The resilience and determination that had carried South Carolinians through the war now fueled their efforts to rebuild and to forge a new identity as part of an independent nation. The fight for freedom had come at a great cost, but it had also forged a new sense of national identity. The experiences of the war, the shared sacrifices, and the collective struggle for a common cause had created a bond among the people of South Carolina and their fellow Americans. This emerging sense of national identity was built on the principles of liberty, equality, and self-determination. It was a powerful force that would shape the future of the United States and guide its development as a nation. The Palmetto State, named for the sturdy palm trees that withstood British bombardment during the war, had proven its mettle on the battlefield and secured its place in the annals of American history. The resilience of the palmetto trees became a symbol of the strength and determination of the people of South Carolina. Their contributions to the fight for independence were significant and enduring, and their legacy continues to be celebrated and remembered as a vital part of the American story. After the Revolution, South Carolina experienced a period of economic growth, largely fueled by the expansion of agriculture, particularly cotton. The fertile lands of the South provided the perfect environment for cotton cultivation, and soon, cotton became the backbone of the state's economy. This agricultural boom led to the establishment of vast plantations, which were essentially self-sufficient communities, complete with their own infrastructure and labor force. Vast plantations dotted the landscape, producing immense wealth for their owners. These plantations were not just farms, they were symbols of status and power. The plantation owners, often referred to as the planter elite, lived in grand mansions and enjoyed a lifestyle of luxury and leisure, supported by the labor of enslaved people. However, this prosperity came at a terrible human cost: the enslavement of Africans. The wealth generated by the cotton industry was built on the backs of enslaved men, women, and children who were forced to work under brutal conditions. Their lives were marked by hardship, suffering, and a complete lack of freedom. The plantation economy of South Carolina relied heavily on slave labor. Enslaved Africans were considered property, and their labor was exploited to maximize profits for the plantation owners. They worked from sunrise to sunset, performing grueling tasks such as planting, tending, and harvesting cotton. Men, women, and children were forcibly brought from Africa and subjected to brutal conditions. The transatlantic slave trade was a horrific journey, with many not surviving the passage. Those who did were sold at auctions and separated from their families, never to see them again. They toiled tirelessly in the fields, cultivating the crops that brought wealth and privilege to their enslavers. Despite the back-breaking labor and harsh treatment, they found ways to endure and support one another, forming tight-knit communities within the plantations. The institution of slavery cast a long shadow over South Carolina, shaping its social, political, and economic landscape. The wealth generated by slavery created a powerful class of plantation owners who wielded significant influence over the state's policies and society. It created a deeply divided society with a wealthy planter elite at the top and enslaved Africans denied basic human rights at the bottom. This stark division was maintained through a system of laws and practices designed to keep the enslaved population oppressed and powerless. The horrors of slavery would continue to haunt South Carolina for generations to come. The legacy of this dark period in history is still felt today, as the descendants of enslaved people continue to fight for recognition, justice, and equality. Despite the cruelty and injustice they faced, enslaved Africans found ways to resist their bondage. Acts of resistance ranged from subtle defiance, such as working slowly or sabotaging equipment, to more overt actions like running away or participating in revolts. They maintained their cultural traditions, passed down stories of their ancestors, and held on to the hope of freedom. These cultural practices provided a sense of identity and community, helping them to survive the dehumanizing conditions of slavery. Their resilience and spirit would play a crucial role in the fight for equality that lay ahead. The strength and determination of enslaved Africans laid the foundation for future generations to continue the struggle for civil rights and social justice, ultimately leading to significant changes in American society.